Alright, you guys ready for this bonus video? We're going to be talking about everything I didn't go over in the main game. Sounds fine, right? Okay, so let's talk about events. Events were a big thing starting from, I'm pretty sure, Gen 4 onward. And Pokemon Black and White is no stranger to its own share of events. Now, one thing I do have to mention is that most of the events in Pokemon Black and White only happened in Japan. So if there's a few you don't remember, it was in Japan. First up, we have the Liberty Pass. That was an event that allowed you to catch the mythical Pokemon, Victini, which was a fire psychic type, and you would have to access Liberty Garden, which you can access in the main game, but you can't really do anything there. It's just an area you could go to. You could access this Pokemon before the third gym, so that's real neat. There was a Cubchoo event, only in Japan, because Cubchoo was a hard Pokemon to find, because it could only be found in winter. In Japan, there was a Mystery Egg event, which it would hatch into one of three Pokemon: a female Pidove, a male Pansage, and a male Axew. These were to reference the Pokemon that, in the Pokemon anime, Ash's Pidove, Silence Pansage, and Iris's Axew. There was also an event to get Ash's Scraggy, and it hatched, and it came with a Muscle Band, and it was level 1. The Pokemon Zoroark only released in Japan, because of course it did. Obviously, it would give you the Pokemon Zoroark, which you normally can't catch in Unova. Even though it's a Gen 5 Pokemon, you can't catch it in the wild. Then there was Karita's Hydreigon and Janta's Golurk, which were, if you had Pokemon Black, you would get a shiny Hydreigon, which would be from Victini and the Black Hero Zekrom. And if you had White, you would get a shiny Golurk from Victini and the White Hero Reshiram, which are the same movie, because I watched both of them. They just swapped places with Zekrom and Reshiram. They just swapped them. And then there was a Mewtwo event 1 year after the release of Pokemon Black and White. It came with a King's Rock at level 70, and it was available to everyone. Then there was a level 6 Victini event, which was surprisingly not a Wi-Fi event. It was based off the movies. And it had the special move, the Create, as well as having Searing Shot and Fusion Flare and Fusion Bolt, which came from Reshiram and Zekrom. Then in Japan, because of course, they released Tornadus and Thundurus, which gave Thundurus for Black and Tornadus for White, allowing you to get Landorus. So that's real neat of them. The next event was released everywhere, but for Japan it was a non-Wi-Fi event. It was a level 100 Reshiram or Zekrom, depending on which game you had. If you had Pokemon Black, you would get Zekrom, and if you had Pokemon White, you would get Reshiram. And you would get them at level 100, including their unique moves. Of course, they would have Fusion Flare and Fusion Bolt, but Reshiram has its unique move, Blue Flare, which it only learns at level 100. Same for Zekrom with the move, Bolt Strike. Yep, they had two signature moves that you can only get at level 100. Then there was Nobunaga's Rayquaza, which was a reference to Pokemon Conquest, because he had a shiny Rayquaza in that game. And then the final event, which was not released in Japan, it was released everywhere else, was a level 50 Darkrai holding an Enigma Berry, which you can't get normally in the game. Now let's talk about the Zoroark event. Zora and Zoroark. You cannot find these Pokemon in the wild. Why they decided to do this, I will never understand. But in Castelia City, there was a person who would give you an item called the Relocator, which you were required to give him some certain phrases, much like you would in other Pokemon games. And using the Relocator, you could transfer in event Pokemon, from Pokemon Soul Silver and Heart Gold. You could transfer in a shiny Raikou, the shiny Entei, a shiny Suicune, a shiny Celebi, and a lock capsule. And then you could unlock a Zoroark in Lost Lorn Forest, if you had, let's see, the way it worked is Zoroark would take the form of one of the legendary dogs that you didn't transfer over yet. So if you had Raikou, you would see it would take the form of Entei. If you had Entei, it would take the form of Suicune. If you had Suicune, you'll see Raikou. And then you could battle and capture a Zoroark. It would be at level 25. And then if you had a shiny Celebi, you could talk to someone in Castelia. They have a Zora, and the trainer will give you Zora. And they also, guess what's in that lock capsule? You could take it to a clown in Castelia City, and you will get TM95 Snarl. You cannot get this TM anywhere else. It simply lowers your opponent's special attack. Yeah, real fun of them to not allow you to get every single one. Speaking of Castelia City, there's also a ship you can ride on called the Royal Unova on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And if you beat every trainer before the Royal Unova returns to Castelia City, you'll get a lava cookie, which will, I believe, it cures all status conditions. Now, let's talk about some other mythicals. Keldeo was the final member of the Swords of Justice. It was a water fighting type. And it had two forms, however, you can only access the second form in Pokemon Black and White 2. And it needed to know the move Secret Sword. It was the fourth member of the Swords of Justice. It's not referenced in Black and White. I wish it was, and I believe it had something to do with an area called the Moor of Isserus, which you can find north on Route 8 at the northernmost point. There's nothing to do there in the main game, unless you have Keldeo. Which I didn't have Keldeo, so I didn't show it. Now let's talk about Genesect, a precursor to Silvally. So, the basic gimmick with this Pokemon is that it had a signature move called Technoblast. And depending on what item it was holding, Technoblast would change types. So, if it doesn't have a drive in, the disc is just orange, and Technoblast is a normal type move. If it has a shock drive, the light will be yellow, and Technoblast will be the electric type. Burn drive, red, fire type. Chill drive, white, ice. Douse drive, blue, water. I believe you would receive this Pokemon in the P2 laboratory. And back on the topic of Victini, one fun fact about Victini is that if you caught it before obtaining the National Dex, Victini would not be at the end of the Pokedex, it would be at the beginning, right before Snivy, making Victini the 0th Pokemon in the Univin Pokedex. And finally, the final mythical Pokemon, Meloetta. You may remember it from its art in the anime. It is a normal psychic type. And there was an area in Castelia City. It was a restaurant type area that you could teach the move Relic Song. And if you use Relic Song into combat, it would change form into its pirouette form, going from a normal psychic type to a normal fighting type. It's a pop singer Pokemon. Hooray. Well, that's everything I wanted to talk about. Pokemon White is officially over. So, I'll see you guys next time for my next low-budget Let's Play. Thank you to everyone that stuck around on this journey. See you guys next time.